This channel is called Rusty Judgment. I usually cause damage, and I would like to not cause any damage.
Don't try this at home.
This is going on Rusty Judgment.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back to Rusty Judgment. Today we're gonna try and see how much of this yard work I can get cleaned up. Can I find the silos under here? And can I get all of the limbs off of the house? Because the house on the backside has pretty much all these trees are laying on the roof of the house. We also have a lot of trees growing around the foundation of the house, the shed, the barn, and the other little garage shed thing. So we're gonna get to it. We're gonna see how much trimming I can get done. See if I can make this place less of a jungle. And then we got that split guy. I don't know. Do I try and tackle that one on my own? It is over a power line and an LP tank. I might wait to get some help to get that one down, that limb down, so that I don't explode an LP tank. But we're gonna get to the silo now in the house, see how far we get.
So we knew when we bought this property that pretty much every area hadn't been touched in quite a long time, right?
Yeah, and we kind of had, I think, a little bit of flashbacks to buying our personal residence, because that property hadn't been like a lot of maintenance, but it was clean.
I thought you meant our very first property.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember the hours you spent tree trimming there?
Yeah, I didn't. Do you remember how I did that?
No.
I had nothing to do. We just used the clippers.
You didn't have a chainsaw?
No.
We were so young back then. I just remember in the backyard was a huge maple tree, and the branches had grown to, so it was touching the ground. So it looked like a big
weeping willow
bush. Yeah. And Tom started cutting. I'm like, oh, right, that's what trees are supposed to look like.
Yeah.
So
no, that place was crazy overgrown.
mm-hmm.
I think that was probably more work back then because we didn't have the proper equipment.
Yeah.
I remember dragging branches all the way to the backyard.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say it's safe to say that I cut down every tree around this front area and the vine. But now I'm gonna have to run home and grab my skid loader, pick all this stuff up in pieces and haul it out of here to a burn pile. And then somehow I will figure out how to extract the vine off of the silo without wrecking the silo. So I'll be back in a second with a skid steer. I enlisted the boys. I got both of them over here with two big clippers, and they're just going by every tree. There's little trees growing up next to all these big trees. So they're going over there and they're clipping all the little trees out, and then I'm having them clip all the branches as high as they can reach, because there's tons of little shoots coming off the sides. So they're over there, and then I'm gonna be over here grapple bucketing all this big debris out of here. It's a pretty big tree. Did you just get it? Look at that thing. Nice, look at that. See, now you opened up the base of that tree. So now you can clip that other tree next to it. Yeah. Because then when we mow, we can mow really close to these trees and this won't happen again. That's probably as big of a tree as you could ever snip with that thing. Hey, why don't you put that one handle up against the trunk of the tree and then just push against it? Hey, you got it. Nice. Good job, mister. That looks better.
I could not believe Corbin got that tree down with that little clippers.
That boy, I got to tell you, I feel like, is a chip off the old block. He reminds me so much of me as a kid, where he's gonna prove you wrong.
Why don't we go back a couple generations? So we got to celebrate your grandpa's life a couple weekends ago. We did a memorial for him.
Yep.
Which we should also say hi to your Aunt Lisa, because we got to see her as well, which is really cool. But what were they saying about your grandpa?
He just didn't stop. He literally didn't stop. He worked all the time. Side jobs. If he wasn't doing a side job, he was building something, remodeling something. Where I remember them living for most of my adult life was like a retirement home for them. And it started off as a single stall garage. He eventually turned it into like a 3-stall garage with lean-tos on every side and like a cabinet thing on the one end. Like that's
not where they lived. They had a trailer on the property.
Yeah, no. This is just a building on it.
To keep.
But it's just like, that is like a man after my own heart, of like constantly working on something. So yes, the conversation was that first off, I look very much like my grandpa at the age he was at. Like we would have looked the same. And also we kind of
have some same tendencies, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, but it was fun. Like Corbin just loves the like power through stuff like that.
Yeah.
Too. So one of the coolest things about this property that I think we were both drawn to, even though you were trying to play it cool, was the wood silo. Like, you do not see wood silos in our area.
There were 3 things. 10 acres.
Yep.
Off of a blacktop road.
Okay.
Wood silo.
Yeah, it's really neat. And you had actually ran into a gentleman who at an auction nearby, and you guys were trying to kind of guesstimate how old it was, because he had said how old was he?
He said he's lived here and driven by there for 80 years. And for 80 years, he has remembered that wood silo being there. And this was interesting. I'm not sure if he has the greatest memory. He said he didn't think it ever had a cap on it. And I was like, are you sure? He's like, I don't ever remember that silo having a cap.
Yeah, because we were saying, like, well, we should recruit, like, my dad and Corbin to build or weld, like, some kind of top for it to help preserve it. And he was like, nope, it's never had a top that he could remember.
But we're not sure if that's accurate.
We don't know.
No idea.
Welcome back to day 2 of trimming trees and cleaning this property up. I don't know if you saw in the time lapse, I couldn't get the vines down. They're kind of like interwoven in the metal bandings that wrap around the silo. So I think I'm gonna have to go up there, like, I don't have a ladder that tall, but if I can get as high as I can get with a ladder and like get it all clipped out of the banding, and then maybe find something taller to get up higher and see if I can clip them all so we can pull them all off. Because I would really like to have them off the silo. It looks like they've wilted. They've wilted a ton since yesterday from me cutting them at the base. So that's good. But I'd really like them off the silo altogether. I did end up also being able to get all the roots yanked out, so there's no more stumps or roots from the trees. All the rest of this is just little stuff that I left for the boys, so that they're gonna come out here in a few hours and they're gonna clip all that out of here in a few hours. And then we've got some more little shoots running around the back side here that they can clip all that out too. But what you and I are gonna focus on is we're gonna try and get all this cleaned off the back side of the house, so that the trees are not laying on the house, and also so that this limb here that's hanging over a power line and an LP tank and is split, so that it doesn't fall on anything and make something really bad. And so this is what I'm talking about, this one here. You can see straight through the whole limb. So it's not actually over the power line, it's over the LP tank, but I think yeah, we'll trim some little stuff off, and I'll work on doing this safely. But I'm gonna slowly pick at it and see if I can get all that dropped and not cause any damage. Because I don't know if you all remember this channel is called Rusty Judgment. I usually cause damage, and I would like to not cause any damage because I have to fix said damage. I'm gonna get to it now.
This looks much easier than it actually was. And because I had it set on time lapse, it went way faster. I was very scared or very nervous on how this limb was gonna drop, what direction it was gonna go. So I made tiny little nick cuts into the tree until it slowly went down on its own. I didn't want it to drop really fast and have it land on the LP tank or knock me off my ladder.
That limb was scary. Glad it fell where it fell. I gotta clean it all up now. I cut it up, but I'll grab it with the skid steer. Now I'm gonna get all these limbs off the roof of the house, and then once they're off the roof of the house, and then I'll go and I'll cut the whole limb off, but I don't want to clip them back there and have it like rip these vents off the roof or something. So we're gonna cut it in pieces to protect the roof as much as possible. Yeah. Also, somebody had asked, actually a bunch of people asked in the last video, if it was scary walking on a roof and videoing yourself, or surprised Dawn let me do that. Well, first off, Dawn didn't know. Second off, yes, it was scary. So I'm gonna cut these limbs down here and get them off the roof. And just like that, all off the roof. Now I have to go back and trim all those off the tree so that they just don't start growing shoots again over the roof again. So I'm gonna climb down and get back to it.
How long did this actually take in real time? Because it goes really fast when we're just watching time lapse.
This first half probably took me 3 or 4 hours, just the backyard of the house, probably 4 hours of cutting.
Wow.
And then time of grabbing with the grabber bucket and hauling all out of here.
Yeah.
But I'm like super ambitious on the ground, looking up at everything. And then I get in a ladder and I start thinking where stuff's going to drop, and it changes your perspective drastically.
I don't know if this looks scary at home, but it's extremely scary in real life. That's a 16-foot ladder, so as high as I could get there is 16 feet plus my body. Very high, very scary. I'm very concerned for that tree over the shed now.
So I think initially the thought of trimming these trees was like, okay, that's not that big a deal. They're not, these, like the trees in the backyard aren't huge trees. But then I'm looking at you in the video, like you are so small compared to these big branches that you're cutting down.
Yeah, these trees are ginormous is the word I'm going to use.
Well, and we had talked about hiring someone because we had a gentleman come out to our house. There was some stuff that was like way up high or just kind of like beyond Tom's. Like, well, you don't like heights. So you're kind of
I'm
like,
okay with, no, I'm okay with heights to a point. Once I exceed a certain elevation, I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
But it was very expensive to...
It was outrageously expensive.
And so then we were just kind of adding up. We were like, okay, based on that, like what they would charge to do all this, like it would have been a lot of money.
Yeah, and at our house, they were trying to do them like architecturally.
Yeah. So
that like the trees are growing in the greatest of form they can. These trees, in my opinion, are so wonky that I don't know that I can screw them up any more than they already are. So I'll give it a shot.
Yesterday was a lot of work, but look at this view this morning. I come out here. It's so different looking now. I don't know if you can tell on video, but in person it looks so like just, I think it just feels clean. It was super overgrown and just kind of neglected before, but now it just feels like this is nice. Today what we're doing is we're gonna get rid of that guy. We thought like it's really big and overgrown, but the reason we're getting rid of it is we thought, you know, why wouldn't you want like a nice view from your house out onto the field where in theory your animals and all that stuff will be. So right now that blocks it from the dining room and kitchen. So by opening up the trees, that helps bring the view in better. And so we're gonna get rid of these bushes out here now, and we're gonna make it all just flat grass. so that you can see your beautiful field. And now you can see your beautiful silo. The dumpsters are leaving shortly, so that will be nice too, to get them out of the yard, because I can't stand seeing the dumpsters here. It's gonna be really nice. Let's get to it.
Now, we never like to take down more trees or bushes or greenery than we have to, right?
No, for multiple reasons. We know how much effort it takes to plant and grow trees or bushes where we want them. Yeah. So when something is growing naturally or been established, like, it really like pains me to get rid of it or take it away.
Right.
But when something is obstructing a view,
yeah,
I mean, you kind of gotta do something with it, don't you?
Yeah, and especially you put these nice, like this big window in the kitchen, and you stand there and you look out the window, and you're just like, why is that bush there? Like, I just want to see. It's a beautiful view out the back, especially once it greens up. Like, you seeded the pasture now, so it'll be a little bit, but like, it's beautiful out this direction. Yeah,
and you couldn't see any of it.
Right.
Now you can.
And were you able to get the roots out too and everything with the grapple
I
bucket?
did. So I have a couple attachments for a skid steer, all like the really cool attachments I borrowed from Dawn's dad. And so I borrowed the grapple bucket from him, but then he also has like a tree puller, which is like a big scissors, like you kind of grab it, maybe like a jumbo pliers.
Okay.
You grab it and then you pull out at the base, and that'll pull the roots with it. Well, somebody overused it and broke it. Like, that somebody wasn't me, but no, so that's broken.
Yeah.
So I had to try and figure. I didn't think the grapple bucket was going to work, is where I'm going with this. I thought I was going to do is like pull out like bits of it, but all the roots were going to still be there. But I figured out that I could kind of dig in the dirt with the teeth of the grapple bucket, kind of like tillage equipment on a tractor.
Okay.
And I was able to get all the roots up and out of there, and it loosened the black dirt, so it was kind of like pulverized.
Nice.
So then when I went to go smoothing it all out, it actually worked really well.
Oh, it looks really good.
What do you think, Dawn? How much would you pay to have this work done?
I might not be the right person to ask for that.
I realized that after I asked the question.
I think it would have cost us $5,000 plus.
Oh, that's not bad.
What do you think?
No, that makes me feel really good, because that took me 3 days. So if I just saved us $5,000 in 3 days, I think that's a pretty killer 3 days.
I just think what's so like continually so funny to me is like, we have been trying to grow trees in like the front of our property for so long. We like intentionally buy poplars that are supposed to grow like 6 feet a year, and like they do nothing.
Yeah, they're junk trees. Like, they're not going to last long. We're like, hey, whatever. We just want quick growth, nice coverage, block us from the road.
Nope.
They don't grow.
But then you come out here and there's trees growing everywhere trees should not be growing. Yep. And they just spring right up, and they're like 6, 5, 4 feet tall. And you're just like, why? Like, why do they grow here and we cannot get them to grow?
The other thing that's crazy about this property, which blows my mind, is so there's been no maintenance, exterior maintenance done here in at least a decade, if not 2 decades. So as I go around and I mow, I try and go close to all the trees. Well, then I find you can't get close to the trees, because around almost every single tree is like a brush pile of branches. And I think I figured out what happens around this place, where what used to happen is when a tree limb would go down or branches would fall from storms, they would just drag them to the nearest tree base, and then they'd keep mowing.
There you go.
And so I took a grapple bucket worth of limbs off of almost every base of all these trees.
Wow.
And then the boys went around and clipped all the shoots coming up too. So it's like...
No, it's looking really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of work, but no, it looks awesome. And so then next is going to be to take that one behind the shed that's kind of over the shed.
Yes, I have to enlist help for that, because that one's scary.
Because you don't want it to drop on your new shed.
I don't want it to drop on the new shed.
We've been joking about, like, could you get an insurance claim, like,
I don't
on a
care.
building that just had an insurance
I don't want another insurance claim.
No.
I don't want to rebuild it. I want it to stay the way it is.
Right.
So I have to enlist some help on that one.
Yep.
And actually there are some pretty tall limbs on some of these other ones that we're going to probably either need to enlist help for or rent like a boom basket thing that I could go up in a boom basket.
Sure.
I don't know if that's what it's called, but you know what I mean.
Yep. All right.
So,
well, it looks really good, but yeah. And then we will be switching our attention back inside the house. We got the asbestos results, and so we'll have new adventures in the house as well.
Yeah, we'll probably end up having a whole nother video on tree trimming because we've only made it through about 40% of this property. And there's some serious trimming with all the next, like, Rev 2 of tree trimming.
Yep.
So I'd love it if you subscribed so that we can get to know each other better. Well, I mean, so you can get to know me. You can comment and I'll, like, try and get to know you through that. But
we feel like we know you too.
Yes. Did you see what the color of this used to be? Where, like, kind of like the trees have rubbed it?
Yeah, it's cool. Have you figured out what kind of wood it is?
I don't know, but I kind of wonder... Is it like, I would just like to know how much it would cost to have somebody do some kind of a acid etching on here that would make it look new again.
Oh, really?
Wouldn't it be beautiful?
Well, yeah. I think, what did the gentleman you ran into at the auction, didn't he think it was some kind of like redwood?
Red something,
redwood or cedar or something. Because I mean, really, the wood is in excellent condition still.
Yeah, but like if you look, I'm sure it would be beautiful.
Oh no, it'd be super cool. Yeah.